All right, welcome in everybody. Welcome to the first New York stream in quite some time. We're going to get into some levels, show you what I'm looking at right ahead of the open. Wanted to get on here just a couple minutes early just so we have a pretty clear idea of what we're looking at. So pretty much all month we'll be trading with these 50K accounts. Today I'm just going to be using one, but what we'll be looking at is essentially this gap up. So we had a gap up in the market overnight. As you can see, let's see, get my there we are. All right, got my pen. Cool. So yeah, we had this gap up and we started to reject the top end of that gap. This is a position I would like to take right here. You know, when I see a short like this running into the highs, that's a short that I would like to take. I do have one short here, at least to down here for my live account, my cash account. But as far as additional entries go, we're going to wait until the open to look to take anything on our top one account. And yeah, that'll kind of be the move for today. So going to keep an eye on how we develop into the open, but as you can clearly see, we had a strong push higher on a gap up, sweeping multiple highs. This right here, 2 a.m., right here ahead of London, like right at that crossover, the London open kind of high. And we're starting to see a change in state under here, at least for now. And then now you're seeing a consecutive order block. So you're starting to see some bearish developments in terms of order flow. And what that means for us into the open is, well, simply put, we're going to essentially be looking to either get involved on some sort of retracement to then fill the rest of the gap, or we'll just simply look to trade against the bottom of the gap or even a break under the gap and then lower. We have down to here 325. So yeah, welcome on in. If you're new to the stream, if you're new to these types of streams, I like to keep things pretty chill and pretty calm. Show you the logic behind my trades, the breakdown, not overcomplicate anything really. I try to keep it super, super, super simple. I walk you through all of my trade logic. So if you're new to futures, new to trading NASDAQ, anything like that, you'll definitely learn a lot by sticking around. So we'll just give it a couple minutes till the open. We got about 7 minutes right now, 6.5. So we'll kind of get things rolling slowly. But yeah, I like to get on here early just to kind of get a good feel for everything. If you have questions, as always, drop them in the comments in the chat. I'll see it. Again, fresh 50K account right here. We'll be trading. Really just working towards a couple payouts this month, at least in August, at least. So yeah, as we see, these are the levels. So I'll go ahead and annotate these if these are something kind of new to you guys. Right here, you can see this is going to be the weekly open. The weekly open quite literally means where did the weekly candle open? That's where the weekly candle opened. We had a gap higher from the previous close down here. This would be the prior close. Prior weekly close. And now we're referencing these quarter marks. I want you guys to kind of see what I have annotated here. These are the quarter marks of this gap. So what this helps gauge is essentially where are we in relation to filling this gap? And ultimately, do we have a lot more space to the downside? So what I would also like to do is kind of compare. So we can see the gap on NQ versus micro NQ is relatively, it may be a couple dollars off. It's relatively the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and just act as if it's the same thing, Typically when gaps are pretty close to the same, I'm just going to keep the same levels. If, for instance, this level was like 527 and the real gap was like 500, then yeah, I would adjust. So yeah, real just patient until the open. We do have kind of some structure forming at this midpoint right here. We can kind of keep in mind. Down to the gap fill is going to be a pretty quick trade, in my opinion. So you're talking 76 to 47. Got about 30 points of range. Yeah, really, realistically, this would be a trade to take, right here to right here. But for the sake of this account, for the sake of the stream, I want to really narrow my focus for you guys, show you what types of trades historically work very well for me. And generally speaking, I do not like getting in front of the open, especially when I'm not in a preferred location. So I do have one I have one short on a cash account at 500, but as you can see, we're now at 470. So it's just a little bit lower. Wouldn't be the best entry for me right now on this account. So what I'm going to do is simply wait for the 930 open, show you that you could typically see some sort of volatility there, and maybe you could get in on some sort of manipulative move for the downside. Otherwise, we're just going to look to trade against the bottom of this gap. We need to look at what we're doing on the higher time frame. You see the hourly, yeah, we really just have this kind of breakout structure, gaps higher, then this is like maybe a retest or a complete invalidation. Complete invalidation, we have room down to 300. And that would be for a pretty nice start to the week, honestly. So if we have room down to 300 for the bearish side, I'm not concerned with rushing in right now. I can wait for some sort of up candle on an hourly or a 30-minute. And however, if we're looking for longs, this will kind of be my zone. So that's really my kind of game plan for the day. It's nothing too crazy. It's Monday. Mondays can be pretty benign, but they can also be pretty volatile. It really just depends on what's the context. And right now we do have some context of gapping up and now rejecting the downside. So the question is, are we going to hold here and then trade back to that 560 area? Your guess is as good as mine. I need to see more data because at the end of the day, my job is to find the most likely move and show you guys the logic behind that. And then we kind of go from there. I don't need to catch the biggest move, nor do I need to predict where it will go. I just need to have a good understanding of what is reasonable. So this is my target right here, would be my target if this breakout right here is invalidated. It's pretty clear structure. You have like your little pennant right here, if you will. It's your little breakout structure. So if this thing cannot hold this neckline, the retest of the break, then obviously we're going to trade to the downside. And then if not, this would be so if the gap low holds, right, we can see what we're talking about right here. This is the gap, weekly open, prior weekly close. If this gap low holds, then somewhere Monday, Tuesday, that's kind of my target for the week. And then obviously continue through all-time highs. So yeah, welcome in. We have a couple of minutes till the open. Actually, we have about 1 minute. So we're getting real close. So the charts I'll be showing you guys are obviously the top one charts, Project X. And then I should have, yeah, these right here. These are my trading view charts. I have multiple candles on here, different time frames. So you can see the daily candle is already kind of shaping up to be pretty interesting so far. We are using, yep. So this is the right daily candle. We got another daily candle here, maybe a couple. Yeah, I'll do 4. So you can see, yeah, this would be like down here is that 400 area. Then you have these lows, and then you have this daily fair value gap. Let's go like this, boom. Huh. Oh, the daily fair value gap's below that. Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, that's kind of the structure. First level right there. Down here, you have some more levels. Again, this is kind of that breakout we were talking about right here, this little pendant. Breaks higher. Now we're seeing if we're going to defend this. So we'll get to the important charts. These are just the higher time frame. I like to have these for reference. This is also what's on my other screen, like right in front of me. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm actually looking at when trading. So here we are, open, 930 open. So now we'll see some volatility right here. We'll see if we get that push to the downside, and we'll really be monitoring that downside reaction. So we're now through 60s, kind of testing it. That's that lower quarter mark of the daily, or sorry, new week gap. So now we're starting to see some volatility to the upside. And yeah, we'll really just watch this. So it's starting to hold. This is a good hold right here. It's a good hold. The first candle is never really going to be indicative of my bias by itself, but in this scenario, it does look pretty strong. Anything below that opening price, though, would be considered a bearish order block at this point. So that's also something I'm keeping in mind. So yeah, again, 9:30 open would be right here. I'm gonna make this like blue. It works. Yeah, that hourly is starting to look vicious. So let's see the 15. 15 is not too crazy yet. Make sure that's not the correct view up. Let's see. Okay, we're pretty far off view up still. Rejecting the upper quarter mark now. So we just really want to watch how we kind of interact with these quarter levels. So yeah, there we are. There's that. Yeah, beautiful. So this is what let's talk about. If we come back through that 9:30 open price, I would validate this as an order block. So yeah, we'll start watching this right here. I'm gonna watch this on 30-second. Nothing too strong yet. What is this? 25 points. I could probably take a short soon. Probably short it soon. I'm gonna watch it a little more. We get through like 468, 500. Damn. So yeah, see, we're still interacting with this level. Maybe 2 down here. So my thoughts are if we can get a strong close below the 9:30 open, then I will be okay with validating that as an order block. Really just I don't want to be wicked into it. It's not a trade I need to take, but if it does set up, I do want to be involved. So I'm willing to pay a little extra. Because I'll take it down to right here, maybe 400. I think 400 would be a good base hit. So that'd be the idea. If we can validate that as an order block. Could remove this. So 465, my stop would be over 500. But again, I don't want to be in the trade if it's going to hold this opening price, this 9:30 open. So that's why I'm having a little bit below. We're in a bearish fair value gap on the 15-minute. We retested this bearish order block right here. So we're going to make this visible for everybody to see right here. Boom. So if that holds, then we can expect the next leg down. However, this opening structure really does need to kind of favor shorts to be involved. So that's kind of what we're playing with. The target would be down here. It could probably go further if it wants to reject, but I don't need to rush it. So see what the 5-minute looks like. Yeah, 5 minutes, just a bearish order flow, right? So you have a change in state, order block type action right here, sweep of these highs, tag them an important level. You have these bearish gaps right here. So that's kind of the context. I understand the lower time frame can look bullish, but to me, the higher time frame, at least the ones above this, they do favor the shorts. So I'm not super eager to buy this. If this were to be a long, it could hold here. There is a gap here, and then it could easily run for weekly open or the swing high. That is a scenario. I just don't believe it to be the most likely scenario. I personally believe the more likely scenario would be for us to try to run the weekly open. I'm sorry, the prior week close, the gap fill. So we'll see. If you're looking at the lower time frame, a break above here would be an order block for the weekly open. Let's see what ES is looking like as well. Let's see. Yeah, it's showing resilience. So I'm glad we're not getting wicked into a trade just yet. It is showing resilience. ES. ES is weaker. Yeah, ES is not seeing this manipulation higher, or this at least this push higher. So if you can see right here, that's NQ. ES. See, ES's 30-minute candle is pretty flat, whereas NQ is pretty pronounced. So we'll watch this. It's still very early. It's only the first 5 minutes. So as this continues to develop, we'll keep an eye on it. So again, you just have a lot of bearish levels overhead, which makes it not my favorite long just yet. But as a reactionary trade from this quarter mark back to the weekly open, it's a reasonable move that can happen. I just don't think it's extremely likely. I do feel like this is going to be a tricky area where a lot of things can kind of reject here. Yeah, ES is still weak. ES is still weak. So yeah, welcome in everybody. We're just watching this. I do have an order out here, but obviously the trade never validated below the 930 open. So that order is not really something I care about. Probably should take it off in a second. All month we'll be trading with these top 150K accounts. Definitely check them out. There'll be a promo starting at some point today, 50% off. Yeah, up to it's 55% off code DTA. So you can check them out, get instant funded. We'll go over some of that in a little bit. Right now, we're focused on just seeing how we react to this level. So remember what you were saying a second ago. If this does validate as the order block, the target would be right here. I'm not this is not a long I really want because the risk reward in this scenario doesn't make sense considering it goes against what I'm thinking is a directional bias to at least right here. So I'm personally just waiting. I'm waiting on the fact that this could be just a little sweep above and then it returns back in the range. ES is not showing the same type of resilience. ES is actually pretty much at the low of this New York session still. So keep that in mind. Now here we are looking at this. So 5 minute right here. I'll go ahead and actually clear up these levels a little bit. If we look at the 930 open right here on the 5 minute, you're seeing that it rejects in this area so far. And then this would be the opening price. And then if this closes, this candle we're on closes, we have a gap right here. If it invalidates that, aka inverts it, we could enter our short a little bit earlier. So I'd be looking at that right there based on the 5 minute. So again, I'll show you. We want this to flip right here. Yeah, I'll be looking at this to flip. See, the candle's already kind of fluttering a little bit. Potential inverse. Between two levels. So middle line, get rid of this. Okay, I think we're now nice and neat. As always, any questions, feel free to drop them in chat. I'll see everything, answer everything. Right now, we're just kind of monitoring the open, right? So I do see that obviously we held this gap a little bit on the 30-second. We pushed higher, swept out that initial high, which in my opinion, I do not believe we're going to run here. I don't believe so. I could be wrong. I'm okay with that. But I do personally believe it's just kind of rallying above to kind of just, number one, tap into this area. Number two, get anybody excited for a long, then just flip. And then number three, it sets up this opportunity for us to use this as this inverse gap right here. So other confluences in my favor, I'm looking at the fact that well, NQ, or I'm sorry, ES has not made any move higher. It's just been weak this entire time. So that's another variable I'm considering. And then entry would be based on this 930 open. If we can flip that, as you can see right now, we're kind of destroying this inverse gap, which isn't, I guess, the worst thing in the world. It's just showing that it's really willing to go lower. I just do not want to get wicked in here, then it runs for the highs. That would be actually really annoying. So if we're in here, stop would be like 506, maybe 508 or something. And then we're going to basically be targeting a little bit lower than that. So I really don't need the 1 minute or 30-second in this trade because my targets would be in this area or this area. I might just set my limit at 400 and go for that, maybe 370. But I don't really want to overdo it. We'll see. I think this aligns with bearish order flow. I could put my stop right here. We've given it enough time. We've waited 10 minutes. ES is making new lows. So now we're just waiting for NQ to catch up. Yeah, I personally believe this is going to be a short for the day. I think at least 400. You know, obviously you can run down to here, but we're going to let this be our one trade for the day. Put our stop right here. Yeah, we could have probably went more size. Dang, that's really only that. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll give it this. We'll give it this as a stop, 155. So this will be our trade for the day. For the whole month while we're streaming for New York session, we really want to focus in on taking less trades. So I'll be exclusively taking 1 to 2 trades a day. And as you can see, there's a lot of context behind the trades I'm taking. I'm not necessarily just jumping in, you know. We laid out all the levels that are possible. So again, kind of showing you what we're looking like. This would be an extreme example, right? Like if it runs for these lows, I don't think it will. We could just let it try, right? I personally think this would be the order block, the change in state. Sweep above these highs, boom, boom, tags into that, tags into this. I want to see it try to run for the gap fill. That's the only problem right here. We didn't necessarily get the close, which is a little bit annoying. I'm not loving the trade right now. Let's see, what's a 1 minute look like? Yeah, 1 minute doesn't look too great. ES is still making lows though. That's the thing. Right here, maybe. Yeah, this is actually going to kind of get us in a tricky spot. The fact that it did not close below the 930 open really does change the structure I'm looking at, which I would say this is one of the most annoying things about like order block entries is when it does not close, because it means I jumped the gun. So sometimes it's hard to get the exact entry when it closes because sometimes it just runs through. But we're going to give it time, let it work. Stops in our stop is basically at the invalidation of the short. So there's no worry there. We shouldn't get wicked out and it still work. If we lose, we're wrong. Yeah, ES is looking nice and weak. Let's see if I can pull that up for you. See, there's NQ. Look at ES right here. Yeah, ES has already kind of filled the gap. We're already below it. Look at that. Pretty below the gap. And here we are kind of holding on NQ. Resilient NQ today. I will say that. Resilient NQ. Not enjoying that part, but, I do think the structure is bearish. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, I'm liking these wicks. So you see 3 consecutive pushes right here so far. We just need this to kind of close and keep going. And then it looks okay to me. Don't want to see these gaps though, like that. I don't like when it gaps between the candle because that makes me think it's just going to run for my stop immediately. I don't love that. 5 minute definitely is not looking how we entered. It's looking much worse than when we entered. So it's deteriorating from the entry point. Not great. Our entry really is kind of on that wick. So it's not my favorite. So we'll just rock with this. There's really nothing we can do at this point. We saw the trigger. It triggered, and then it kind of untriggered, right, with that candle. This candle movement is really not the trade we were looking for, but, we'll roll with it. Yeah, this might get ran. We'll see. This might get ran. ES is still weak. I mean, yeah, we really did kind of get joked into this trade. That's unfortunate. It wicked. Yeah, look. It's that 5 minute hammer I'm not liking. Not loving this candle that we got joked on. It was bearish and then it flipped immediately. So tough break. But there's nothing we could do. We had to take the stop, that's why we put it there. And yeah, that's it. Took the stop on that. Unfortunate, but there's really nothing I can do there. The structure changed fundamentally from the entry. If you go ahead and see that, we had a good thesis, right? We were looking at the break below the opening prices of 930 open. There's consecutive lower highs being formed. There is just it's generally bearish at this moment, and we have not fully filled that gap. So my thesis was the idea of us just simply filling the gap and then looking for some sort of opportunity to go short. Well, yeah, now the longs look great. The longs look great, but the thing is, I triggered a short, and then it untriggered. So is what it is. Longs look good at this point. Once you broke this swing high right here, I'm looking for longs 100%. That's the move right there. But for stream's sake, we're going to keep it pretty simple with this whole month, just taking 1 to 2 trades per day. So yeah, down $100, whatever is what it is. We're back into VWAP right here. So I'd be looking at this area as obviously, I mean, look, if you're in here, right, and on these hammers, that's a good trade back to the weekly open. Maybe we just got wicked out. Who knows? Hard to say. To me, the 15 does look dramatically different than when we got in the trade. We were looking for the continuation lower, and it simply did not. It joked us right here. So that happens. But that's the whole point of the stream. I'm not going to be in here trying to be like, I win every single trade. No, there's a lot of scenarios where things like this might not be super clear and you get stopped out. And that is what it is. And sometimes you just get wicked out by like like you get top ticked out, right? Maybe I should have my stop up here. Hard to say. But as it goes right now, this is a bullish gap. This is a good opportunity to potentially look for a long. You do have all of this right here that is somewhat low resistance. So even back to that 560, like we said, could potentially work as well. Now you are inverting, or at least starting to, this gap. So it could go either way at this point. It could definitely go either way. Look at this right here. Quarter mark being tagged. Boom. Yeah, very clear stair step today. So we fell down, interacted with the halfway mark, tested the lower quarter, ran up, tested the upper quarter, bounced off the 930 open and the midpoint. Now we're running back up, testing the upper quarter. It's ping pong, guys. That's what happens when we're in these gaps. We tag between the levels. It's quite literally just zigzagging. So look, yeah, quarter, top, halfway, lower quarter, basically, quarter, open. Yeah. So back and forth. Yeah, it'd be unfortunate if we just got smacked out of the trade just by a little bit. Because look at this gap right here. It's kind of starting to sink. Yeah, maybe we did just get smacked out by a hair. There we are. Yeah, look. What did I say? We got smacked out. So this is some sort of news right here. So this candle right here is some sort of news. Something hit the tape because that's like a 30-point candle. I would be very cautious right here, guys. You see this? This is volatile. This just stopped out everybody that was long. So again, we got like our trade, we got stopped like at the highs. Basically, if you look at it, we got stopped 514. I think the high's like 518. So we just got stopped out by a couple points. Oh well. It just goes to show sometimes even when you think you're being pretty like wide with your risk, maybe you're not wide enough. Because right here, to me, this is pretty unclear. There's nobody who was in the long right here that's still in that long. I guarantee there's a million people texting me right now that are just like, dude, what happened? Yep. Very tricky morning, guys. Very tricky. So this is Monday. Obviously, we have 10 minutes till 10 a.m. I'm going to stick with you guys pretty much every day for at least an hour, just to kind of walk you through what I look at in trades, show you what I do right, show you what I do wrong, ultimately helping you get a better edge in your trading. Because I think personally, for the best way I learn is by watching. It doesn't mean you have to watch someone who's always doing stuff perfect. You can learn from people's mistakes very easily. And also, it's important to remember not everything that's a loss is something done wrong. You can watch people have winning trades do things wrong, and then you learn the wrong things. So, gonna take a glance down at the 30-second chart. Yeah, look at this. Okay. Okay. I wonder if we actually did that on regular NQ. Yeah, that wick does not exist on regular NQ, guys. So look at this. This is some nonsense. Here's NQ. You see no crazy wick on regular NQ, but micro NQ, it said you guys are going to be poor today. So a lot more manipulation on micro NQ. Really need this area, the 75 to hold, the 75%, because not only is it a significant level for the weekly gap, it's also a break and retest of that opening structure right there. So you see why this level might matter. 500 is your significant level. If I'm in nothing, I'm trading against this 500. That's what I'd be considering for the day. I'd be looking at trading against 500 to at least like 525. Yeah. So it's a very tricky session, if you guys can't tell. It's very manipulative. There's a lot of BS going on. It's sweeping back and forth, and it doesn't seem like it's doing it on the full size contract. It only looks like it's doing it on the lower contract. Yeah, look at that. So again, we'll pull up regular NQ. This is the only day in a long time that I can remember where micro NQ has really been this off. It's a decent indication that it's weird price action. Because you're getting a different read between the two. That's the issue. When you have micro NQ giving these big wicks, it gives you a different read. Also gives you a different stop, right? So hourly still looks bearish to an extent, right? No, hourly does look pretty bullish right now, I would say. You have this level right here you're kind of working with, getting back towards that gap opening. Yeah. So defended 500 very, very cleanly. Break and retest of the structure right here. Now the question is whether or not we could surmount the weekly open. We have all of this right here. If we don't break above here, we have all of this right here that I might want to pull towards. But as you can see right now, this has been a very clear range of an open. You have microstructure within the range, but if you look at 5 minute, you have these giant wicks. So it's hard to say it's a trend just yet. Once we start having some cleaner candles, then yeah, sure it's a trend. But it's been very choppy back and forth, especially on micro NQ. These big sweeps taking you out all day. Nothing you can do about it. So about, a little over 5 minutes, about 6 minutes till 10 a.m. All right, look at that. So we're holding back under the weekly open. This is my level of interest. So obviously 500 to 525-ish, like 520, the gap fill. This was a good push. But now that we're holding back under this weekly open, I'm thinking we might sweep a little bit lower. You really want to see some conviction above here. Otherwise, it's just so easy for it to run to the downside. We have all of these levels right here. We have all of those levels, and we have a lot more below that as well. If you really look at it, we have all of this. So I'm not saying that it has to run that far, but I'm saying there's enough reason for it to want to run. What do we have above that? Like if we can't prove that we're strong, why do we need to run higher? Like we only have all-time highs. If we're not strong today, we can take some time and then we could go for all-time highs in a couple days. So that's really what's on my mind right now. If we do not hold above 516, I'm not thinking long. It's not objectively strong right below it. because now you're looking at for micro NQ, it's swept out these highs. I don't think regular NQ did though. So that's important to kind of note. Yeah, regular NQ did not sweep out those highs. And if you look at ES on the other hand, ES is just at the lows. Like we've been glued lower. You look at ES's structure, it's predominantly bearish. We gap up, sweep up the highs, sell off, order block, sell down. Boom. We have all of this to run for. So when we look at that on NQ, we should be able to paint the same type of picture. You see right here, we'll go to the 15. Yeah, it's just a little bit stronger. It's a little more resilient. We got this push back higher, a little more, right? We're still below that weekly open. We still haven't closed the gap, and we still have all that below it as well. So that's my update on structure. We're going to keep watching this. We're almost into 10 a.m., about 4 minutes, about 3 minutes. So just really keep an eye on those levels. How are we interacting with the weekly open? And are we showing a willingness to go above it? I'd be watching right here. Like that'd be my level of interest right there. Like 520. Otherwise, it's too easy to just be like, oh yeah, well, we could just sell down. You got to ask yourself, what is the easier trade at the moment? When I was getting short right here and it was a big candle, the easiest trade is to the downside. When it quickly rebid, I'm not confident it's going to sell right there. Now that we're back at the top, any reaction to this top of the range is more likely for me to think that it's going to stay below it. If we stay below this gap, then we could trade back down. However, if we can show some sort of resilience right here, then we do have room to the upside to at least like 560. Right now, it's just a tightly coiled trend. That's really what we're looking at. It's tightly coiled trend within this little box. All right, nice. Now we're starting to see some sort of push back towards these highs. This was what I was saying. If we can get above this candle right here, I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit strong. We literally have 1 minute till till 10 a.m. So to close off the opening 30 minutes, the opening range, we'll see what happens, right? 10 a.m. is a good opportunity to see some sort of volatility that can either ignite a trend, that can also actually create the reversal. So really going to be watching how we interact with this high, how we interact with this candle right here, and what we do with this weekly open. So let's give it a couple seconds. We got about 20 seconds. Again, Top One Futures running the summertime sale. End of summer deals, 55% off any funded account. Get instant funded. There's info down below. Check it out. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. But right now, we have to see what we're going to do with NQ. 10 seconds left till the 10 a.m. hour, and we're pushing higher. Interesting. Let's see it. So we're through these highs. Now we've officially swept out this high on NQ. So this would be the sweep right here. Really need to see it prove itself above here if we want to see upside. I'm of the opinion that this is an inflection point and that either option can happen right here. So I'm not too eager to put, my bet on any single horse, but as it currently stands, it looks like we are holding above. Give it some time to kind of develop. I don't see why this would be a terrible long right here with the risk right here up to about 560. I can see that making sense. So watch, we're about to push out these highs in a second. This wick again is only here on micro NQ. Something's off with the two contracts. This one as well. It's only micro. Looks like, yeah, we're pushing higher. I'm going to check ES because ES has been notoriously weak. ES is genuinely still flat on the day. It's It's quite interesting. So yeah, watch this candle. I don't love that look right there. I don't love it. Doesn't mean it can't work. I just don't love it. See how it's just stalling out? It's not a great look. It's not a great look when it just kind of stalls at the highs. So what we see here is obviously it's giving consecutive pushes higher, and then it just keeps rolling over, keeps rolling over, keeps rolling over. We need this to kind of hold as a higher low if we want to be bullish here. I can go ahead and look at it from a couple different. I don't know what I just did. What was I typing? A couple different time frames. So we see right here, tick chart. It's real sloppy. I mean, what's this right here? It's kind of yeah, it's interacting with this inflection point. To me, looks sketchy right here. If I'm in a long, I'm not loving this. If you're in a long and you break above a really strong level, it should, in theory, kind of show you. It should kind of give you something. If it's really weak and it's like just folding over, I don't love it. I don't love it. So this could just be that final push higher for again that short idea that we were talking about, the one we tried after getting kind of shaken out of that thing. Yeah, not loving this. You see these the candles are starting to expand in range. These are things that I'd be monitoring. If I'm looking at this as a break and retest of this weekly open, I don't want the candles to get bigger, especially if they close at the lows. Not loving that. So to me, this is starting to look again like that short we first envisioned after just getting kind of shaken out just a little bit. Like we got stopped out just a little bit. Got in here, down to here. We're thinking 400 on the day, down to maybe, yeah, down to literally 400, maybe 370. But we'll watch it. So NQ is, yeah, kind of folding over. 18 seconds left on this candle. I want you to see if we could close anywhere near here. It's really kind of a wrap for the long, but that it'll be back on that original short idea that we actually tried. So really watch how we interact there. That's really what I want you guys to be thinking about. Again, ES is really flat on the day. We're still at the 9:30 open on ES. It moved a little bit lower, and it just hasn't really been able to do anything. It hasn't really done much. It hasn't really done much. Okay, beautiful. This is actually starting to confirm that short that we were looking at earlier. I did get shaken out of my position. So basically, when I was looking to get short through the 9:30 open, I was willing to risk basically near the gap high. I had it at 514-ish, and I got a hit on one of these crazy wicks, or I got hit like right there. I maybe should have had it at like 530 realistically. Because this is still in the area of interest where the short can work. I'm not saying it will. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just saying maybe I didn't give it enough room for that initial idea that I was looking at. Hard to say though, because ES is now picking up. So ES kind of does change my opinion about what I just said a little bit. When I see ES doing this, like it's starting to rally now. Interesting. Interesting. Where is ES potentially rallying into? I mean, we do have on ES, we do have this order block right here. We have this fair value gap, but maybe it just because I mean, it did close the gap. It could be rallying for this high. So ES actually does kind of make me retract what I just said. Interesting. Micro NQ, see what we got. Yeah, micro NQ. I mean, maybe ES is just giving one push higher for this to then also sell together in unison. Interesting. No matter how you cut it, I don't think today was an easy trade. Unless you really did just kind of get in on the open and ride it to the gap high, which is good for you. Have your stop down at like, 460. But, the back and forth, there's no conviction. It's kind of digging deeper. If I was long on any of this would have completely destroyed me. Like if I was long anywhere in here, this would have swept me out for sure. I'd have got swept out on that. So I'm not really upset. I think either way, I would have taken a loss, whether it was from a short stop or from the long sweep. This would have got me for sure. So I think on days like this, it's super important to kind of note what is not winnable. And for me, if I'm in a long anywhere, this is taking me out break even or at a loss or a partial loss or whatever. Yeah, I'd be watching ES as well to make sure ES is not just kind of giving a fake little swing. Again, we have ES right here. ES is right into that 30-minute gap. This could be the perfect short for the ES. Hard to say though. We did test this. It's a tricky location. Here it is on the 1 minute. I'd be thinking, are we going to hold right here to run for 40s? So we do, then NQ can move higher as well. Yeah, tricky. Hopefully you guys are staying safe. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the stream. If you like these types of streams, leave a like. We'll be on tomorrow. We'll be on all week. We'll be hammering out 1 to 2 trades per day. That's going to be kind of my prerogative, my limit right there. Just going to show you what good trading should look like. You don't need to jump in and out, right? If I took a stop short, I could have jumped long and I could have taken another loss. And then I tried to jump short, take another. It's better just to have one idea, try to trade one level. My idea was a breakthrough the 930 open and it invalidated. It just ran straight to the stop. Sometimes that happens. I got in and it wicked. I didn't think it would, but it did. So that's just the reality of things. Very much glued to these highs, tightening at the highs. This could be a little breakout structure right here. I'd be considering that. I'd be looking at this as the neckline. The more that we stay near these highs, the tighter that consolidation is, the better likelihood that there is going to be a breakout. And we do have room up to like the 560s. So really watching this area. ES is still moving higher. So I do think the upside is more favorable at this moment. I would be looking at longs if I'm taking any trades right now, just based on the developments that I'm seeing both in ES and also in NQ at the same time. What would invalidate that would be any sort of strong wicks above the highs. That would tell me maybe not yet. So any closes like that, these aren't favoring bullish development. But if it does start to close higher, then obviously it's more likely to start seeing higher. Yeah, okay. So this would be an example of what I'm talking about. That'd be like a 2-minute wick right there. Yeah, you see that? Any sort of wicks like this are not great for bulls. I really need to see ES put in a higher low if we are going to be bullish. Otherwise, we can still retain that initial bias of the shorts. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, perfect. So this is what we're talking about on ES. When I say that there's that 30-minute gap right there, this is where we're at. Like this chart next to it, that's a 30-minute. So basically, we're interacting with this gap. It can be an area where we reject. So I would really be cautious with that. I wouldn't necessarily want to chase the top. I'd rather see some sort of higher low on ES. Let's see where we're at on VWAP. Do we have VWAP anywhere near here? Yeah, we're not near VWAP yet. Do we have maybe RTH VWAP? Okay. Yeah, ES is above RTH VWAP. Okay, interesting. Just grinding higher into the highs. This is not showing me strength. Consecutive rejections at the highs. This is an example of what I mean by failing the breakout. If we continue to just push into the level, and not do anything about it, that's telling me it's going to probably not work. So I would be considering after this last fail, I'd be looking for some sort of displacement, some sort of fair value gap, and then I would look to short back through that weekly prior week close, that weekly gap. Just to give you guys an example what the structure looks like, go ahead, clean up some levels. Let's go ahead, put on a 1 minute, give you guys a real easy visual. See this? This is 4 pushes higher. It did not reject or did not show strength. It's not finding acceptance above here. What that means is when we're not holding above a level, that means that there's no understood value here. We're saying that this is not a deal. It's not a good deal. It's not a good deal to get in here to buy long. That's what the net buyers are saying. They're not interested. They'd rather reprice it lower to then buy later. So what we're seeing here, a bit of a push. So I'd be looking at the lower time frames, the micro time frames and stuff of that nature. See how we formed a gap right here, like we were talking about just literally a couple seconds ago. I'd be watching how we interact with that gap. Something like that. Boom. Perfect. So I'd be watching how we interact with this and then seeing if we could trade lower. ES is kind of putting it in a higher low. I'd be cautious on it personally, but I'd be watching this. I really be watching this right here. So the idea is if you did tag that gap, right? Like I'd put my stop probably 530 just because I've kind of learned from this session. It's kind of pushing. My stop probably 530. And I would look for maybe the gap close or 400. So like there's a lot of risk reward in this trade up here. If it does want to work, I would be watching really how it reacts. So like genuinely, I'd maybe even consider entering on the break below these opening price candles, like the open price for these. Someone down here, like I could technically do this. I have enough risk reward to do it. And it gives me the opportunity to see this kind of come up and then break below to give me that second layer of confirmation. So I think that would be an acceptable trade. If you go and wait for it to break below here. If I'm looking for something to close below that, that's kind of what I'd be thinking. Because not only do you have the rejection of the fair value gap right here, boom, you get this nice little swing point that's forming. If we close below here, maybe have an order at like 502. Yeah, that would be a good trade. I think 502 would be a good trade. And then you can literally look to trade this back to, yeah, look, that's a 1 minute fair value gap right there as well. So now we're starting to really cook. You have this little shift under this little trend line right here. I'd really be looking at this. I think this is pretty hot. I think this is a good trade. Like if I were trading this is just my thought process I'm sharing with you guys. So want it to close below here. I'd want this to be the swing point for then us to go ahead and trade lower. We have room down to here. That's what I'd personally be thinking. However, this is the 2-step. You have one right here, step 1, must close below here, step 2. Otherwise, it's just going to obliterate the shorts. Yeah, actually, look at this. Now you have ES starting to prove itself. Look at ES. Hard to resist the longs here when ES is doing this. So I'd be cautious. They've been really out of sync. So ES is kind of pushing lower, NQ is pushing higher. Now NQ is kind of topping, and now this is pushing. So I think it might default to the upside. We'll see it though. Yeah, not my favorite look right here. That's why I changed my mind from not wanting to be in here to accepting an entry below here because of the fact that this might kind of just be stubborn right here. But once you get right here, it should be closer to the momentum entry. Anywho, very interesting level reactions here. So you have this 75%. You've tagged it 1, 2, 3, now 4 times. This is now the break and retest somewhat. So tricky location, tricky location. Take a second look at the candles. Yeah, it's not really showing respect for this gap yet. So it's hard to say this is a valid level. It's really hard to say when you don't see it confirm and hold below. Hard to say it matters. We're starting to see bullish structure on ES. It's genuinely forming higher highs and higher lows. This right here is just a mess. This right here is easy to overtrade, easy to blow up accounts. That's why I recommend doing less, taking 1-2 trades, keeping it simple. And then from there, you just tape read. You evaluate price, you develop, different protocols and looking at how things are going to react. You create if-then statements. You say, okay, if it goes below here, then I can look to short. If it does not, I do not. So as we approach the hour mark, definitely appreciate everybody coming in, hanging out for a little bit. You were able to see a trade that I thought was a good entry at the time, and you saw how it invalidated quite quickly, which is fine. That stuff happens. You can't necessarily control when things are going to react the way they do. And then from there, you're able to see some decent commentary on what we're looking to see happen after that, what kind of trades we're looking to see after that. So if you're enjoying this type of stream, leave a like. We'll be doing this all month, all August. And who knows, maybe all September. We'll see. But 5 streams a week, New York session. We'll be trading here. We'll do using top 1 futures, 50K accounts. The end of summer sales going on. You can go ahead, check that out. 55% off any account. Feel free to check the description. Code DTA will save you the most. And yeah, let's just see how we close out this stream. I do think that this structure right here is holding holding as resistance so far. It's holding as resistance. So again, if you can kind of see, this is kind of what the structure was that we're looking at. So stop up here. Entry would be below here to then fill the gap. If I can leave you guys with one thing, I want to point out the fact that this, in my opinion, would be a very, very simple trade. If I had not already got stopped out on this thing, I would be in this trade. I'd be in this trade. In fact, I technically still do have a position. It's just on my cash account. My stop's at like 540. But I'm also in from higher up. So yeah. Just watching this, to me, this looks like resistance, however you want to call it. It's definitely pushed out these highs. It's definitely pushed out the previous highs. And now we're starting to see a shift, lower high. Now we just need that lower low. That's what it is. So yeah, if I can break this down for you, it's push higher, down, push higher, right? One last one. And then now this is where we're at, lower high. And now we're about to make the lower low. This is the structure we're looking at. So when I see this right here, I'm watching it to break below here. That's why this would be my area where I begin to look for the short. I wouldn't want to get in just right here just yet. I would want it to close below, and then potentially I get in right there, or I wait for the lower high again. Because right here, this is just a range. Now it's genuinely a range. This was arguably a range, pushed higher. Now we have a little bit of a range above the previous range. A little figure 8. Sloppy action, but hey, it is Monday, so don't get discouraged if you did too much today. My word of advice for anybody getting chopped up in this market, do less. I mean, I've taken one trade today. I took one short and it quickly invalidated, and I said, okay, cool, that's it. Tomorrow we'll have 2 bullets. We'll be looking to trade whatever setup happens. So my goal is to simply take a trade from level to some sort of other level. That's it. I don't need to hit any sort of home runs. My point for streaming, I want to show you guys how simple this can be. And then, yeah, we kind of go from there. We'll take a look at gold. Here we are kind of going into this area. It's kind of rejecting it a little bit, you see? So a close below here would trigger that for the short down to here. But yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll check out gold. I know gold's been doing very well recently. It's been in that daily consolidation. So if we're now looking at the, let's see what gold's looking like today. Yeah, it's kind of tough. I mean, yeah, you do have these levels. I just don't like how it pushed higher, and then now it's like Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'm not loving the daily chart. I can't lie. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. What's it look like intraday? Yeah, I mean, maybe intraday for like a washout, right? Like just a quick reaction. Like you could get something like that going. So we look on the 1 minute. Yeah, to me, it's a tough one. So it's either a super reactionary trade or you start to see it move. And now look at what we're doing. Here we are, guys. Beautiful. So this is the trade we're talking about as we're talking about gold. We see this break below. So close below here. So it closed. That'd be your entry. And then you can look for it to go lower. And it almost got it on one candle, 1 30-second candle. So it's good structure so far. Like I said, when I see it consolidating at the highs like this and it's showing multiple rejections, it's hard for me to want to be involved. It's hard for me to want to be involved in a long. So that's why my bias will be looking to the downside when this is kind of happening. We mentioned one opportunity here where if it showed strength above, it'd be good, but it didn't. It never showed strength above. It just simply meandered below, pushed higher one last time, and then now this is that lower low structure we're talking about. However, this type of bounce that it's doing, I don't know what to tell you. This type of stuff is just chasing tight stops. You get stopped out. But yeah, we're approaching a little over the hour mark so far. Thank you guys for hanging out so far. If you're enjoying everything you see on the stream, definitely leave a like. Let me know what you want to see next time. We'll be on every day this week, every day next week, just to finish out summer strong. We'll finish out summer strong streaming and kind of go from there. So I don't even know what you're supposed to do with this. you know, like obviously it did trigger that short we're talking about. It tested the 930 open. This is where we got stopped out, by the way. We got stopped out because it rejected the 930 open and then ran for our stop. So this thing has been bulletproof. This 930 opening price has been bulletproof. There's not one stronger line of defense today. I'd say maybe this one's pretty good, but the reactions here are crazy. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so this is just go ahead blend everybody up day. I'm very happy with our minus $154. I'm cool with that. We're down $154 on the account. Fresh account, top one futures, 50K account. These are probably my favorite when it comes to the funded accounts because you make 3 grand. Follow the consistency rule. We pull out 2,500. Can't complain. So 55% off. You get these for dirt cheap. Feel free to check out the link in the description. Use code DTA. We'll be wrapping up here real soon. I just want to see how we react to our trigger and if we can actually see that downside level, right? Like if we can actually see this prior weekly close, then I will be content with the day. But if not, like this might be a wrap right here, guys. I don't want to waste too many people's time. I think we have better things to do. If you took some trades today, be sure to journal your trades, document them, track them, trade Zella, do all that good stuff. That's the fun part. Not really, but that's the important part. Trading's enough, right? You could do a couple trades a day, keep it simple. But if you spend all day trading, if you spend all of your valuable time not reviewing, you're going to struggle. I'm telling you, journal, document your setups, review what you did right, review what you did wrong. For me, the only thing I believe I did wrong personally is I just think my stop was maybe too tight. So I'm in at 473. I probably should have had it like, I should probably had it like 530, like up here. I had it like right at the gap high, which it doesn't really make sense. If I have to go back and review my trade, we can kind of do that right here while we wait for this to set up. I would point out the fact that I got short here and I got stopped at like 514, which is basically at the gap high. So it's like if we didn't break the 930 open, we probably want to test the weekly open. Like we're going to test the weekly open. So why would I have my stop right there? I should have probably had my stop just a little bit outside of that. But, sometimes you don't make the best decisions. Your goal is just to improve 1% each day. If I could say, okay, this wasn't a wide enough invalidation, then next time I could say, okay, well, what is the structure that's between my stop and my entry? Because the weekly open shouldn't be like my stop shouldn't be in front of the weekly open if it's a level that might get tested. Having it right here still gives me the opportunity to let it work. It's just this would be a very grindy trade. But again, we're not looking at the 15-second when we're trading this. We're looking at the 5-minute. You see right here. We're looking at the 5-minute chart. Very, very squirrely right here with this wick. Our trade was based on the idea that we pushed higher, tagged into this fair value gap, and then we're going to roll over. It didn't do that. It wanted to sweep these highs, so maybe having it like 530. That's what I'm getting at. Anyways, we'll look at the 1 minute. See right here, giant wick on the 1 minute. Again, this is only on micro NQ. Regular NQ does not seem to have such an aggressive wick. Show you guys right here. See gold, and then look at micro NQ. Yeah, regular NQ. We're at VWAP too. That's also important to note. No wick though, is my point. Again, thank you guys for hanging out. If you enjoy the stream, leave a like. We'll be on tomorrow. Come check it out. I'll have this up nice and early, have the link ready. So hit the notification bell, get alerted when we go live. We'll be live about 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the open tomorrow as well. We're going to go over all our levels. And yeah, we're going to be just pushing through this month, finish out at least August strong. Finish out the rest of this month, get through August, maybe do some streams in September, but it'll be pretty consistent. Come hang out, bring some questions, bring some popcorn. And yeah, we'll go through pretty much every setup that I take. I want to show you guys the process of taking a brand new account and working it through a profitable month. So this will be separate from any of my regular trading. I'm just showing you how I take a 50K account and get this to essentially just gain a payout on it. You don't have to have perfect days. You don't have to have perfect weeks. You can lose trades. I'm telling you, you can lose trades and still make money. So we're down $154 on the day. Our daily stop is less than this, or like this is less than our daily stop. We'll have a daily stop of like 200, $300, and we'll look to have a max daily win of about 600 at most. Just so we can have the consistency score be met. We don't want to have more than 20% of our profits on one day because that'll just push out that payout window. And the goal is to get this thing to a payout and show you that it's really simple to do. No need to pass an eval. If you know how to trade, check out the link in the description, 55% off top 1 futures. And yeah, look at the structures, just kind of continuing to develop. So kind of final notes I'll leave you with is we rejected the highs and you can see that we made a displacement lower. Now we're kind of back at that initial structure we were talking about that earlier break, right? We broke higher, neckline kind of held it. And now it's, if it legs lower, you know where it's going to go. If it legs lower, you know what levels we have. We have the bottom of the gap, prior weekly close. So this is the structure I'd be looking at. I'm obviously not taking any more trades. I still have that one position on a different account and just let it kind of work. But yeah, hopefully you guys learned something. If you enjoy these streams, let me know. Leave a comment. We'll be back tomorrow. So don't feel bad if you jumped in late, you missed the stream. We'll be on tomorrow. So definitely hit the notification bell. And yeah, we'll talk soon, guys. Take care. Hopefully you guys stay safe the rest of this trading day. Peace out.